Alright, so the thing that makes installing fiberglass insulation into an exterior wall tricky is all the stuff that they put in the walls. The electrical outlets, the light switches, the electrical wires that run all the way around the wall, plumbing pipes that go up through your walls, vent pipes, ductwork, windows and doors, all the things that are in the wall that are different than all the other wall cavities make it difficult to keep the insulation fluffy and in contact with all 6 sides, right? The plywood in the back, studs on the sides, top and bottom plate, and the drywall. You want to make sure every wall cavity is completely filled with fiberglass insulation that's fluffy and not compressed. And when they stick an electrical line running all the way through your wall, it makes it difficult to get the insulation to go where you want it to go. So we're going to talk about all those things today, all the different little things that get in your way, that drive you nuts, that make it difficult to insulate an exterior wall. I'm going to show you how to get around them to make sure you get the full R value from your fiberglass insulation. Let's get started off by talking about all the electrical wires that are running through the wall, and then we'll talk about the light switches and the electrical outlets that are connected to them. The last thing you want to do is what this is an example of, which is just taking the insulation and just tucking it behind the wire or pushing the insulation over top of the wire. It creates a gap in between the wall and the plywood or the drywall where you're going to have heat loss. And it's going to reduce the R value of your wall. What you want to do instead is you can either split the insulation by pulling it apart, or you can flay the insulation, and that's what we're going to go over right now. So this is called splitting the insulation. You're basically going to put this in, make sure the top is tight, and then with the bottom part hanging in the air like this, see where your wire is, reach over, split the insulation in half, and tuck this piece of insulation behind the wire. Just tuck it down. Make sure it comes into contact with the bottom plate, and then slide the insulation, fold it down back over it, and then fluff it up to make sure that it gets in contact with all 6 sides. Another quick and easy thing you can do is fillet the insulation, which is basically putting a back slit, a back cut on the back of the insulation. That way it lets the insulation wrap around the wire. And to do that, all you do is basically start at the bottom. Make sure the insulation is in good contact with the bottom plate. Fold it back over so you can see the wire. Put your utility knife right where the wire is and make a cut right along the back. And then fold that back over the wire, and then you're going to want to make sure you push hard and fluff around so that it wraps around the wire. Electrical outlets are some of the most notoriously leaky parts of your wall, mainly because it's a box filled with air that's really difficult to insulate behind. Now sometimes people will just tuck a little bit of fiberglass behind there and hope for the best, and hardly ever works. There's hardly any R value at all. What I do instead is I do one of 3 ways. I'll take a can of Great Stuff and go fill in behind all of the electrical boxes as I'm working. As I'm air sealing the wall cavities, I'll just fill up the space behind each one, taking special care not to get it into the holes where the wires go, because you don't want to fill the box with the Great Stuff. Another thing you can do is take a small piece of foam board insulation that's basically the same size and shape as your electrical outlet. This is a 1-inch piece, which basically fits right behind here. Take a little bit of foam board adhesive, which is $3, goop it on the back, stick it behind the electrical box. You can either seal it off with a little bit extra Great Stuff, or you can just seal it off with caulk or leave it as is. Or you can get a little more extreme like I do. I'll take a full piece of foam board, tuck it in the entire wall cavity. That way I can air seal around the entire thing, and I know that I'm not going to have cold air coming in behind this outlet. When you get to the electrical outlets and you're ready to install your fiberglass insulation, you want to make sure you make a notch out of the fiberglass insulation that matches exactly where this outlet is. And the easiest way I found to do this, to do a good clean job that touches this box really well and matches exactly where it is to keep, I just keep a line on my scrap 1x4 pine board that I use to compress and cut the insulation. And that matches the depth and width of this box, right? So all I do is take the insulation, I make sure I put the insulation in contact with the bottom of the wall, take a Sharpie and mark the top and the bottom of the outlet. Then I take the piece of insulation, put it on the ground, line up the line on my board with the lines that I drew for the outlet. Make a nice clean cut. Take it over, put it up against the wall. And I got a nice clean cut around my outlet. Now all I have to do is back slit the wire. Tuck it back up. Fluff it up around the wire and you're good to go.